So how is this affecting Canadian businesses? Adam Henderson is the co-founder and president of Superflux Beer Company, a Vancouver brewery. Welcome, and you brought some cold beer here.
I did, yeah.
More than just a prop, I hope. So we are looking at these tariffs on Canadian steel going to the United States, 25%. How does that affect a Vancouver brewer?
Yeah, people were surprised when they hear that, but I think the main thing people don't know is we buy a lot of our inputs from the U.S. It just goes to show how closely intertwined the two countries are in trade. So for us, cans are the main thing, and the aluminum that the U.S. uses in cans comes from Canada. Most of the cans that are used in Canada are produced in the States or offshore in China.
And so per can, how much more do you think it's going to end up costing you?
So currently it depends, but we're going to say roughly we're planning for in that 20 to 25% increase, but the market's already priced in some of the increase of aluminum just as a commodity. Like it's been expected that it will probably go up with all the talk. But yesterday morning we woke up and it was 50%.
And what did you think when you heard that?
I wonder what it'll be this afternoon, honestly. So, we were all talking about that. The phone's blowing up our various chat groups of business owners and small breweries. And yeah, it's just very frustrating and chaotic overall because it's hard to plan for. For my company, we're maybe larger of the smaller brewers. We have like 240 breweries in the province here in BC. We're buying like somewhere around 1.3, 1.4 million cans. So, I mean, if the price doubled, that's like an extra $250,000 a year in cans. And that's not out of the question right now for us, in purchasing from the States.
And would you end up passing whatever the increase is in the cost of a can to the consumer?
That would probably be challenging. So, it could be as much as an extra, $1 a 4-pack, which would be a lot. The bigger problem is that since COVID, we've eaten and passed on pretty much everything we can. So like as small brewers, we feel like that's a huge challenge. Where we're struggling is we've taken what we can and passed it on. And I mean, a glass of beer kind of has a price. We're sort of at the premium end for our brand, or we are, and so there might be a limit there. And I think Canadians too are hurting. Like they don't want to spend more money, and I don't think at the end of this they're going to have more money.
So let's zero in on that. If you feel the price of your beer is as high as it possibly can be, that the consumers aren't going to tolerate more, and the cost of a can is probably going to jump quite a bit, what does that mean for your business?
Yeah, nothing great. It means we're making cuts in other areas, and there aren't that many. Rent's up, insurance is way up, gas is up. Interest is going down finally, so that part's good. That was the good news today. But yeah, so it's tough. It's hard to think about and figure out where we manage that. I suppose there's some angles where we have relief, and we could be looking at other markets like China
to get cans.
But we literally just went through a massive issue with can supply towards like later COVID, where everything was in cans. Can sales were crazy. So then we went through all these measures to secure supply agreements, and many of us did that, and we found these supply channels that we could rely on. And a lot of that did mean, our best friend to the south, right? And now that's definitely in jeopardy, I would say.
I'll bet you people watching right now are asking this question. The aluminum is from Canada. Your brewery is in Canada.
Right.
There's a tariff for exports to the United States.
Right.
So why isn't there a can maker in Canada that you can go to?
Yeah, I mean, if somebody's sitting on tens of millions of dollars that they could deploy very quickly to do that, now might be a good time. I don't know what it costs, but it's a lot. There are 2 manufacturing plants in Canada that I'm aware of, and they produce 12-ounce or 355 ml cans. Most craft beer is like, this is the size, 16-ounce cans is what most of us are in. So it doesn't mean you can't be in those, but also those plants are at capacity, and I don't know exactly where those cans go, but likely to the very big manufacturers, and that could be, soda as well as large, multinational breweries that are based here as well.
Yeah, and you see what's interesting about that is that it's Trump is talking about moving manufacturing that's currently in Canada down to the United States. And the car industry, for example, is telling him it's not that easy to do.
Right.
And it's the same thing with the can industry, it sounds like.
It's not that easy to do. And I mean, there have been people trying to do it and move plants closer to Canada. And there was a plant that was scrubbed in Kent, Washington, which, I mean, we'd still have the same problem here. But I think it just goes to show that it's not an overnight decision to kind of retool something and just do this. And, you know, what might happen is we stop buying cans from Mississippi, is where most of ours come from, and we just get them from China instead. And, you know, that, again, I don't want to do that because that's a whole new supply chain and a whole new bunch of things we got to think about. So yeah, it's...
You're an entrepreneur, and by definition, you're creative and you're resilient. How are you feeling right now?
Yeah, okay. I mean, we went through COVID, and this is very COVID-like in the uncertainty. I think there's a lot of support for the industry, which is great. We've had a lot of support amongst our membership, and I'm a part of our Craft Brewers Guild here in BC. I sit on the board of that. So lots of people helping each other out and trying to figure out how we navigate this. But yeah, it's definitely challenging. So you have to be resilient. We're waiting for that, you know, year that is like, hey, that's the year we were expecting to come back from that hasn't happened yet. And it's always something new. So it's definitely frustrating, and it's chaotic. It's tough on our team, really, because we go in and we hear this and we're like, we don't know, or, you know, we have to retool things on our canning line to change parts and suppliers, like the ends that go on the top. They're called ends, not lids, and they get seamed on there. And if you buy different ones from a different supplier, you need a different seamer on your, like, it's all this stuff. It's just chaos. So it's very frustrating to have to deal with, to be honest. 5 years ago this week, the pandemic was declared. Who would have guessed that 5 years later you'd be in the middle of another crisis? Listen, I wish you luck, and let's stay in touch. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much.
Adam Henderson is the co-founder of Superflux Beer.